Hey guys, what's going on? Tyrauku here, and today I got a video on a champion who definitely is not a unheard of champion. He definitely has some popularity, and I think most people know, or at least used to know, that he's a really good champion. Now, with the release of so many new champions, the champion pool is becoming more and more watered down. So I think he's been pushed to the back burner, or at least for me, I know for sure, I left this champion in my vault for so long. But after I did my video on Minotaur and talking about how to solo Minotaur, I was using Shield Guard, and Shield Guard was taking about 2.5 minutes, I believe. And I left it on overnight. It took way longer than I wanted it to. And my Shield Guard was geared very well. So what I did is I went to check out a few other champions. Like, okay, well, let's try Bellower. And lo and behold, Bellower is an absolutely amazing champion to solo several different areas of the game incredibly. He does it very quick, especially for, a rare champion, okay? Very, very well. Now, this gear that I have on him right now is as early to mid game friendly as I could possibly get. Now, this gear is very achievable, I believe, for most people. I'll show you the rolls that I have on every piece. So my speed, this is what the weapon looks like. This is what the helmet looks like. Shield, gloves are just crit rate, no crit damage. Now, this build is not the build that I use whenever I'm trying to go through everything really quickly. So I use him in Minotaur as well as the Arcane Keep, and I'll show you guys what this can do by himself. He can solo both of those areas perfectly fine, as well as the campaign. So if you just recently pulled Bellower, I know there's a 2x Void event coming up soon. Right now is the second anniversary of Raid around that time. So if you're watching this video soon after it's released, you may be pulling shards during the 2x Void event. And of course, you're not going to get all epics and not legendaries, probably zero legendaries, unfortunately. But if you do pull a Bellower, then hey, now you know where you can use him. His speed is very, very important. So there's kind of two ways you can build Bellower to do a lot of this content. And the way I'm building him and the way I'm going to strongly recommend you build him is this close to 200 speed, all right? You want to get him as close to 200 speed as possible because that's going to allow him to basically go twice for most mobs one turn, okay? Specifically in the campaign. Now, if you build him with this 200 speed, you don't need as much crit rate, crit damage, and attack. I do like going 100% crit rate, but I think he can be perfectly fine with as low as 90% even on the crit rate because every ability he has is an AoE ability. So he's going to land some crits on every hit. Especially if you're attacking 5 different enemies, all right? Now, his HP and defense are actually pretty important whenever you're doing this lower end of gear because if you don't have a ton of attack, if you don't have a ton of crit damage and stuff, then you're not going to be one-shotting the waves. You're not going to be moving them through them super quickly. So you do want to make sure that his defense and HP will keep you alive throughout the runs. Now, the way I have him built currently, he does solo Minotaur, but it's not 100% consistent. And that's not completely bad because you don't run Minotaur ever completely by yourself, especially if you already have the champion's masteries done, which, if you're going to use Bellower, you need to make sure you have his masteries done because there's a few in here that are absolutely crucial to making him do this content by himself. Before I get into masteries, though, let's look at his abilities. A1, everything's AoE here, okay? He has a block cooldown skills in ability 1, decreased speed, which is actually amazing on his ability 2. I'm not necessarily going to say to build him in accuracy. I know if you already have accuracy in your Great Hall, it's going to be a lot easier to reach an accuracy level where you could actually apply debuffs. But I don't think it's worth focusing on accuracy if it's going to cost your other stats. I would definitely recommend going speed, crit rate, crit damage, attack, and then the defensive stats where you need extra to keep yourself alive. Now, I don't think I showed these bottom pieces of gear. This necklace is absolutely nothing. I do have my Great Hall maxed out for crit damage on Void, so I wanted to kind of balance that out. Now, his ability 3, decreased attack, decreased defense. Like I said, if you can build him with accuracy, definitely throw some on him, but don't sacrifice accuracy for your other stats. Now, when it comes to his masteries, this is how I have mine built. I'll hide my face real quick, so if you want to take a screenshot without my face being there, go ahead. And if you want to take a screenshot with my face being here, now's your chance. So these are his masteries, and this is what I have going on. This one helps out a lot, keeping his HP healed up. Obviously, I don't think I mentioned it, but hopefully you guys noticed, he is in lifesteal gear. You do need lifesteal gear if he's geared like this. If not, he's just going to die. You could get him geared to the point where you don't need lifesteal, but that's way down the road. And lifesteal just makes it so much easier. So this ability does help him stay alive a little bit better, but the main ones that I think are absolutely crucial is Retribution, because he doesn't have a ton of HP or defense, so he's going to take hits that are 25% or more of his max HP more often than not. So he's going to have a chance of counterattacking, and those help out a ton, especially with this lower end build. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you the build that I actually use for him, and it works out a lot better. It's 100% consistent, and I use him all the time, like I said, in Minotaur and Arcane Keep. Whirlwind of Death, also another absolutely crucial mastery, because what this is going to do, especially if you're on that lower end, like the 195 speed that I'm at right now, this is going to allow him that after he kills enemies, he's going to gain speed up to an extra 18 speed. So this is going to allow you to more consistently go twice for the enemies one turn and get more and more attacks. And you'll see this really snowballs, especially on the Minotaur stage where you're actually fighting the Minotaur at the very end. Also, Wrath of the Slain, most areas you run him in, you're going to be running food champions, okay? So the Arcane Keep, you're going to have 4 other food champions with you. That's the only reason why you would actually solo that dungeon. Typically, I might leave it on overnight, leave it on when I go to the gym, leave it on if I'm going to be away for a few hours, whatever it may be. I'll come back, and then I'll have a decent amount of arcane potions and some champions leveled up as well. Helps me kind of min-max what I'm doing. If you're doing that, your food champions you're leveling, they're going to die, okay? So you're going to get an extra 10% of damage, helping you move through the content a little bit easier. Obviously, Methodical helps ramp up your damage as well. He's going to be using his A1 ability very frequently. Now, I also have War Master. This is so helpful when it comes to the actual Minotaur boss himself. Now, if you have very good gear, you may not need War Master, because War Master, I believe adds like 7,000, 8,000 damage per hit on the actual Minotaur. We can see that when we get there, but if you're not landing your crits, your War Master doesn't crit. So if you do hit with your Bellower and you don't land a crit, the extra damage from War Master will help you fully heal yourself. And this does activate on the regular waves as well, and just a little extra healing for your lifesteal set. So that's like the main masteries here. I like this build a lot, but that's kind of like the main ones you really, really want to go for. Now, let's go ahead and jump in and show you guys what he can do. Like I said, on Minotaur though, there may be some times where he doesn't do it 100% consistent, but you're going to bring other champions alongside him. And it doesn't matter if those champions just die. It's actually perfectly fine, because if those champions just die, he's going to get that ramp up damage from his Wrath of the Slain mastery. Plus, they're going to be kind of like a punching bag for these enemies, because they're going to attack the lower level, your lower level champions before they're going to attack your Bellower anyways. Now, if you take your champions through Minotaur and you actually have them geared up, then they can actually help Bellower. That's going to be perfectly fine. But currently, as it stands, and the runs that I've tested him on, I believe it's taken about 1 minute and 45 seconds on most of them. I believe we can make sure here though, but that's with this current gear. And with his other gear on, he definitely clears it faster, but it's not a massive difference. The biggest thing is, well, obviously it is going to be faster, but the other big thing is it's much more consistent when you have better gear on your champions. Also, like I said, whenever I'm running Minotaur with him, I take a champion, which if you want to check out the previous video I did on Minotaur farming, it breaks all that down, but I use 4 other 1-star or level 1 6-star champions, okay? Once I finish all their masteries, they all hit level 60, and it's incredible. If you haven't watched that video, it's probably already popped up. If not, I'll pop it up right now. Also, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out so much with getting this video pushed out to more people. So it looks like we're coming up on about, it's going to be about 1:40, 1:45, like I was saying. Minotaur, not bad. I mean, you leave this on overnight, it's definitely faster than my shield guard. My shield guard, I think, took 2 minutes, 3 minutes-ish almost. Definitely a lot slower the way I had him built. Bellower, this is low gear for Bellower as well. Shield guard would die with this gear. Bellower, very easy. Now, there's other champions, Seal of the Drakes, who can do this perfectly fine, but Bellower is a rare champion. You may even have Bellower before you even have Seal of the Drakes. And with this level of gear, I don't think it's out of reach for a lot of players. Let me know. Do you have the ability to gear your Bellower like this if you're before Seal of the Drakes? I would assume so, especially if you're farming Dragon 15, Dragon 16, or something like that. You should be having gear. You should be having lifesteal gear good enough to do all these areas, or be able to reach the stats that I reached on my Bellower, or get very, very close. The only thing I'm thinking is that maybe the speed will be a little bit difficult to hit, but everything else should be fine. And as you can see here, once we start ramping up this speed, it's going to help us towards this end do it a lot easier. Having this decreased speed actually land is a big help as well. So if you're already putting your Great Hall, if you're already investing it into Void accuracy, that's going to help Bellower out for sure. But if you're not, these debuffs aren't crucial. They're helpful, but they're not going to make or break your run at all. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and speed this one up. I think this one takes about 2 minutes or so because this annoying increased defense, but I'll speed it up and we'll be back in just a second. All right, guys, so that run took, let's just say 2 minutes. So it's a little bit longer run for sure. If you're going to use this kind of gear, you're definitely going to leave that on overnight. It's not going to be something, or maybe when you're going to the gym or whatever it may be, it's not going to be something where you're just going to do that while you're actively sitting at the computer and just hitting replay every 2 minutes. That's going to take a little while. Now, going through the campaign, this is what I was talking about, making sure his speed is at or as close to 200 as you can get it, because he's going to be able to hit twice on all these waves, which is going to be incredible for him to actually go through it. As you can see, this Lord Shazar, he would die with the better gear on Bellower, but in this situation, Bellower's just not quite there to kill him in that one shot. So we do take 2 hits from Bellower to do that. 15 seconds, that's not bad at all. Now let me go back here, guys, and let me show you. So we had about a minute 45 on Minotaur, about 2 minutes on Arcane Keep, and then 15 seconds in the campaign. So let me go down to Bellower real quick and let me put on the gear that I typically use him in and show you the Minotaur run by itself and see if it's any quicker or not. I'll be back in just a second. All right, guys, so I moved around the gear that I typically use and put it back onto my Bellower, and this is what his stats look like whenever I'm typically using him. So he definitely has a better, well, actually a worse crit rate, but much, much better crit damage. Attack, not actually a crazy amount higher, I don't believe. I think a few 100 points higher. This is attack percent, right? Yeah. So it's a decent amount higher, but nothing crazy. The rest of his stats, he's about just as fast. So it's just a lot more crit damage, and everything else stays relatively the same. Let's go to Minotaur real quick and see what kind of difference this makes, though, for the actual run. And it may not be that huge of a difference, but the biggest thing is that he is able to take these hits better and survive a little bit better. But I mean, the time he's actually destroying these waves isn't crazy faster. It doesn't seem. Now, whenever I run Minotaur, though, like I said, I have other champions with me, of course, and I run Arcane Keep when I'm away from my PC anyways, so it doesn't really matter how fast the run actually is. And even if he starts to get low like he just now did, that's fine, because if there was other people there, he'd be perfectly fine, no problem whatsoever. Now, the Minotaur is going to be about the same here. It's going to be just turn after turn after turn once he starts getting to the point where he's kill these side mobs, and then once this blue buff falls off, he takes a lot of damage. So we'll see him start getting chunked down here. This is where it really starts to ramp up. And I mean, this is probably going to be about a minute 20 or so, I'd say, maybe there. So we cut off about, what, 10 to 15 seconds? That doesn't seem like a crazy amount of time, honestly. Even with the level of gear that difference, for the time difference, isn't a crazy amount. So a minute 7, all right? So we basically cut off, I guess, 30 seconds. So a decent amount of time for sure, but nothing insane. So if you're able to get Bellower geared up close to how I had him before, he's definitely a champion worth looking into. I mean, being able to solo Arcane Keep, solo Minotaur, and solo the campaign, and I haven't even touched on the ability to bring him into literally every other area of the game. I mean, he's a Void Affinity champion, so he's strong. Well, he's not weak. He's just neutral everywhere. All AoE abilities, fantastic in the arena, fantastic in Dragon. There's so many different ways you can gear him, put him in a stun set, lifesteal like we have him. So many different ways you can build him to really do good in so many different areas of the game. So if you're looking for your next 6-star and you have Bellower just sitting in the vault, take him out. You're going to use him in Faction Wars. I can almost guarantee that, unless you have an absolutely insane Ogren tribe team lineup, you'll definitely use him there. So guys, I hope this sheds a little bit of light on Bellower. Maybe you build him. Hopefully, if you do, you like him. So thank you guys very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something, and I'll catch you in the next one.